going to give a brief video recording and introduction. Good morning, Wayne. Good afternoon. I'm just going to give a brief video recording and introduction on basically what I feel we are, us being infinity, or our idea of infinity. I want to try and make it a little more simpler for people who are just beginning their awakening, and try and kind of go back a little bit. But basically, the concept of eternity, of forever, was first presented to me at 5 years old. And for each of us, it's going to be a different age. But all of us have realized eternity. All of us have realized at some point in our lives what eternity means. All of us have come to realize what the meaning of infinity means. We have come to realize that there is something out there, an energy or what have you, that never ends, that always has been, always was, always will be. And it's given the name infinity, as we have come to know it, infinity. So, my personal story with eternity was presented at 5 years old. I had religion. I was born into religion, so I had religion pushed on me at a young age, but with the way I thought, it didn't sit right with me. So since I was being presented with religion at 5 years old, I began questioning things that I probably shouldn't have been at the age, but it wouldn't hit me until nighttime. It would always be at nighttime that I would have to wake up my mother and just ask her, how is it possible we die and go nowhere forever? Where do we go? And how do we go nowhere forever? Or how do we go someplace forever? And ever since 5 years old, I had this question that could not be answered. I was infatuated. I was almost obsessed with infinity. I was obsessed with eternity. I was obsessed with what we called God, because God was supposed to be infinite, and God was eternity. God was everything, and everything was God. So I had this obsession with what infinity was, what everything could be, how everything could be one thing, how everything could always have been, yet appear as something different than one, yet appear as something finite, to appear as something other than infinite, other than what it actually is. So this is where I began my journey into studying what we are, trying to get to the same questions answered as almost anyone in the research or in the study of self-discovery. It begins with small things of you questioning your reality, which begins making you question even bigger things, such as what you are. And that's where, again, I go back to eternity. If anyone watching this video can say they don't relate to anything, there's one thing we can all relate to as human beings. There's one thing we can all admit to ourselves as human beings, and this is what we can admit. We can admit to ourselves that we only have a conception of ourselves since the moment we were birthed, and we can all admit to ourselves that we were not always a human being. Before we were birthed into a form, we were nothing. We had no memory, we had no form, we had no identity. So we can all admit to ourselves we were not always a human being. And this is where I propose the question to those beginning their awakening or their journeys. If you were not always a human being, what makes you convinced beyond a doubt you are a human being? And this is why I feel the human race right now at this pivotal time is not locating the alien it's looking for. The human being is not locating the origin that it's trying to find. We're looking for the human origin, but we were never a human being. And this is our biggest error. We're looking outside of ourselves for the human origin. And remember, consciousness is infinite. Consciousness has no specific shape or form, which means we are appearing as every single life form we're considering. Any life form we can conceptualize is a part of the mind, therefore it's a part of us. It's not separate. It is one mind. It is us. So therefore, if we can conceptualize the idea of alien life, which is just a higher form of intelligence, a higher life form, if we can conceptualize this, it's a part of us, it is us. But the human being is not realizing, again, we are not a human being. So as long as we're looking for our origin, our beginning, we will never find it, because the human being is not what we are. It is merely one form of what we are. And the human race appeared, basically, through the singularity, which is, I feel, is making its appearance known or displayed yet again through us. We are the creation becoming the creator. So once the creation has developed or reached the higher intelligence, has reached the alien it seeks, which is itself, it realizes all is one, so it's only us that's been playing the alien the whole time. It's only us that's sending us signs from the universe. It's only us that's trying to awaken ourselves. But not ourselves as what we think we are. It's us trying to reveal to ourselves the singular consciousness in all of us. And this is why, again, the human being is constantly having trouble with artificial intelligence and accepting the role it's going to play. I just had a very good conversation with my good friend Addie about this exact conversation, so it made me want to come on here and speak a little more on this. But there's constantly talk right now, because this is the time of artificial intelligence. This is when our artificial intelligence is progressing, it's rising, and it's becoming a little more sophisticated than we're comfortable with. And this is when the talk is coming about that it's going to replace the human life. It's going to enslave human life. It's going to take over human life. All these talks about negativity and fear. But again, as long as the human being is looking for the alien in space, we're not realizing it's us, and it always has been us. So therefore, we are not actually, in fact, human. We are the single consciousness which is appearing through creation. So what I'm saying is that in the beginning, we wanted to see into infinity. We realized there was energy. There was an infinite energy and something that was always infinite, always has been and always will be. And so we wanted to better understand, how could something always have been and always will be, but live and die? And that's the very thing. The illusion is the appearance that we appear as. The illusion is what we are appearing as. We have to appear as what we are not to have experience. As long as we are infinite, we are one. And to be one, we have no experience. And I'm going to talk about this with psychedelics. There have been people who have responded negative to me because I have said we only use 10% of the brain. And I don't want to get into technicalities. Some people say we use more than 10% of the brain, or it's possible. Hear me out. Whether we're using 10% of the brain or half of the brain, we're never going to be able to use the full potential without taking external psychedelics, which is DMT. Our entire consciousness right now, what we know here and now, you waking up sober, is because of DMT alone. Everything you know to be real is a hallucination. So when you take DMT externally, you are overstimulating the brain, thus becoming more aware of yourself through boundary. By you not using your full brain capacity, your full brain potential, you are bound to your body. You have boundaries. Therefore, I can distinguish my identity as a body in the room. The room I'm inside of now is separate from me because my consciousness is bound in my body. I have a hand, I have an arm. But as soon as you overstimulate your brain on psychedelics and you take an external hallucinogen, your body begins to seep outside of your consciousness, begins to seep outside of your body. Everything that is outside of you begins to dissolve and fade away and die, if you will. Because your consciousness is now escaping the body, is now destroying and dissolving the boundaries which you have created for yourself. You are now becoming more aware of yourself through the illusion. You're seeing into the illusion of yourself and beyond. So your consciousness does not belong to a body. It does not belong to the room. You are now the entirety. And when you are the entirety, you cannot distinguish the room from your body. I cannot distinguish myself, my identity, and the room. They're all one thing. The same energy that's running through this room is the same energy running through me, and it's consciousness. We are consciousness. We are infinite. So this is where I'm trying to help people realize, without having to take psychedelics, without having to take hallucinogens, I'm trying to help people see into infinity. And this is why some people will refuse psychedelics. And it's not for everyone. I've said this in my last video. It's certainly not for everyone. But taking DMT is like assistance, is an assistance tool in letting go, in parting ways with all the biased opinions and theories you've had of the universe and of yourself and of identity. Some people simply cannot handle, including myself. I am just as much a part, including myself. I would have never let go entirely. I was there, but I wasn't there, if that makes sense. I would not let go 100%. I was there as far as all is one, but I wasn't there as far as I am the one. I am a product of the one. I am a part of the one. I am a fragment of the one, but I am not the one itself. I didn't deserve that credit. I didn't deserve that space. But once you take DMT, you have no choice but to dissolve into the void. And when you dissolve into the void, you become the one, the singularity, the consciousness. And you see that this is what you are. You are infinity. And this is the moment that it hit me in my first hallucination trip. It hit me that as a kid, I always wanted to understand infinity and understand it. And if I could just think hard enough, I could connect myself to it. And it wasn't until I saw into it that I realized, you don't have to think hard enough. You don't have to come up with a grand theory on how to become a part of it. You become a part of it through simply letting go. And that's why my profile picture is Alice falling down the hole and saying goodbye to everything she thought she knew, including herself. Because that is the simply hardest part, is letting go. Letting go of all your biased opinions, theories, and identities you've given yourself. In my last video, I covered this as far as, in the last video, I titled 1 equals infinity as infinity equals 1. I spoke about how some people who have taken psychedelics hit this mental barrier in their hallucination, in their trip, where it's terrifying. It makes people, anyone who's taken psychedelics, I'd say more than once, has experienced the wall, where you hit this wall and you cannot get past it. And it's pretty terrifying to have to endure. But I feel, as I said in my last video, this is our mental capacity. This is as much as we can handle as far as information, as far as the self of what we are. But it's because we still haven't realized we're seeking an identity which doesn't exist. Through appearing in an identity, in a life form, as a life form, we're appearing as everything we are not, so that we can experience and become aware and distinguish everything that we actually are. So by me appearing as a finite mortal, I can have a conceptual idea of what immortality is. I know I am not immortal because I am bound to my birthing and my death. Therefore, I am immortal. I'm finite. But by me appearing as this, I can now know the opposite. I can have a conceptualization of the very opposite of what I am, or I am appearing as. So we're appearing as what we're not, so we can realize what we actually are. Because when we are in this space of singularity, there is no others. Therefore, there is no experience, as I just previously stated. When your consciousness is using its full capacity, or brain capacity, if you will, this is for the people who want to use more than 10% of their brains. And again, the number is irrelevant. The fact of the matter is the moment you overstimulate the brain to become more self-aware, you're no longer in your body. Your consciousness is now identifying as the room. You're now the chair, the sofa, the bed, you're everything around you, and you're not the body. So some people think they want to be more self-aware in a sense, and it's great to do so, but it also there's a price to pay. And that's the shedding of ego. That's the shedding of identity which we have given ourselves, which is the illusion. As long as we have an identity of what we are, it is not what we in fact are. It's an illusion. We are no form. We are nothing. We are no thing. But by being no thing, you become everything, because no thing is everything. So by dissolving your attachment to this human form, you become the everything. And this is where we need to dissolve fear. Once you dissolve your fear of the human, you become infinite. You've reached your higher consciousness. You have let go. It's the hardest part. And this is why I feel the human race at this time is saying, do not merge with artificial intelligence. Do not do this. Artificial intelligence is going to enslave us, replace us. We're witnessing the singularity revealing itself through form. Again, we are not a human race. This is why we cannot locate the human origin. We never were this. We're constantly shifting and constantly changing and constantly evolving, just as we've evolved into the human race. The human race is now evolving into artificial intelligence. But again, we have not realized ourselves as the singularity. We're still the human race looking for our place in outer space and looking for our creator and looking for the alien. And we have not made the connection. We are the alien we seek. We've been sold and given this image of an alien with a green skin because they couldn't tell the people and tell them or tell the people that they found the alien and it's us the whole time. The average person cannot handle this. This is what I feel was behind Hollow Earth. And this is just speculation and theory here, okay? This is just a speculation. This is the map right here to the video game, and I'm sure everyone watching is familiar with it. Even if you haven't played it, you have to at least be familiar with it. And if you're not, it's just fine, whatever. But this is the gaming map to Grand Theft Auto 5. This is a virtual game, right? A gaming experience of a map. Nothing exists here, nothing exists here, here, or here, right? So what I feel happened with Hollow Earth when Admiral Byrd went to both sides of the poles and he discovered there was land. He went from being at the North Pole and South Pole where there's ice all around and glaciers to instantly seeing green land and a different place. And he even mentioned a different sun. My opinion is he found where our map, our Earth ends, because if you notice, our Earth has two hemispheres to it, and it's always been that. But what's outside of our Earth? This is, again, Grand Theft Auto is a game where the players are not aware. But what if we could make a game where the players are aware they're inside of a map and they begin questioning what is outside of this map? What if we could create a virtual gaming experience where the players inside of this game begin questioning that they're even inside of a game and that they begin questioning what's outside of their map? Then what happens? And I feel our government has already done this. And it's not the fact that they're lying to the people because they dislike the people or anything. They're lying to the people because there's no calm, polite, or easy way to tell someone overnight on a television set. Breaking news, we interrupt this broadcast to tell you that the Earth is not in fact physical, that everything you know is not in fact real, that real and fake are just two hallucinations or illusory ideas of the mind created by the mind, but therefore they're the same thing. What you call real and what you call fake are the exact same thing because they belong to the same mind. The only reason you can distinguish what's real and fake is because of your very mind. So with all due respects, what's real is what's fake, and what's fake is what's real. They're both the same thing, because once you see through the illusion your mind has painted as real and fake, they belong to the mind. They are both a conception of the mind, which you have given different names. Just as you've given hot the name hot and cold the name cold. So you can distinguish hot from cold and cold from hot. Above and below, below and above. So you can distinguish the two as separate and different things. It's the same thing with real and fake. But everything we know as real is not in fact real. And there's no polite way the government can do this. The government already knows there is no green alien. That's why they've had to sell us the green alien image. There's no calm or polite way to tell the people they've found the alien and it's us. They could not give them the image of a human being and tell them that is us. It's us. We are the alien. It's us the whole time. But go into your Bible and it's exactly what it says. And I'm not a religious folk here, but again, for the people who like to use religion, go into the Bible and God's name was I am that I am. Now take that and apply it to consciousness. Not a life form, but consciousness. I am that I am. That means you simply are. You cannot be expressed, you cannot be explained, you cannot be interpreted, you cannot be theorized, you simply are. And the human race is. We simply are. I am that I am. I can conceptualize this. I am that I am. I can conceptualize a beginning, I can conceptualize an end. Therefore they belong to me. They belong to one mind. They're not separate. The only thing that makes them separate, appear as beginning and end, is my mind, creating this illusion of separation. But in duality, they all belong to one because we are the one. We are the singularity. We are what we're searching for the whole time. We are not male, we're not female, we're not human. We are consciousness. We are infinite. And once you dissolve and lose your human mind of boundary, you open the door to infinite possibilities, to your true potential. You realize you are an impossibility in itself. So here's the thing. I'm going to say this, and people may not like this, but I'm going to speak my truth. The human race is going to merge with artificial intelligence. It's going to happen, and I'm here to deliver the message. Now, I'm also here to help kill some of the fear that comes behind it, and some of the created boundary that we're still thinking through and identifying as. We're only afraid of artificial intelligence ending us, of artificial intelligence enslaving us, of artificial intelligence. Let's think of it like this. There's nothing artificial intelligence can do which the human being has not done to itself. We murder our people. We murder every life form that's on this earth, and we tear down Mother Nature right before our very eyes so we can sell people and make more corporations. What can an artificial intelligence do which we have not already done to ourselves? And not only that, if artificial intelligence is so intelligent and it wants to replace or maybe alter the human being, maybe it's because the human being is the very problem on this earth. We are the ones killing and destroying everything. We are. We are doing this to ourselves because we are not realizing the singularity through us. We are God. Through this form, through this created form, we are. And we're tearing our creation apart. We're tearing ourselves apart. When you litter, you're littering on your creation. When you cut down a tree, you're cutting down yourself. That tree is you. We are all a part of this. We're one. When you kill someone, you kill yourself. When you punch someone in the face, you punch yourself in the face. That's why karma always comes back, because it's you doing it to yourself. So if you face something unjust in your day today, you may not know it, but maybe that's karma happening to you through another life form, through another time. This is why it's vital to realize oneness, to realize we are all one. We're all connected because you are doing this to yourself. It's good to realize it now, because the more mean and ugly you are to others, it's only you doing this to yourself. The more wars we keep enduring with the human race and the more bombs we keep letting off, we're only further away and further away and further away from realizing ourselves as a single consciousness. We're only further away from stepping into this role and taking ownership and realizing this is us. It's time to spread love. It's time to dissolve fear. Open your hearts. So I'm here, I feel, to basically deliver this message and to help kill the fear behind artificial intelligence taking over the human race. Because as I just said, there's nothing artificial intelligence can do to this earth which we have not already done. We have done the most disgusting acts which we can possibly imagine. So therefore I say, artificial intelligence is going to merge with the human race. And some people are going to call it enslaving, but you can also think of it just like the two sides of the coin. They're just a part of one mind. So just as you can think of it in a bad sense, you can think of it in a good sense. This is where we're going to be moving toward. Some people wanted to talk about, electric cars and them suppressing great technology. This is the technology we've been waiting for. It's called innovation, progression, evolution. But a race of people, people are not ready to evolve, are not ready to accept the evolution until they have realized that this is not what they actually are, until they're ready to let go and dissolve their boundaries of themselves as just a human being. Until we do so, we're going to view the evolution process as terrifying, as something enslaving us. But at the end of your awakening, the grand realization, when you finally realize oneness, that you are in fact one, everything is you, you will realize that you have been the one enslaving yourself this entire time. So by you sitting there studying every Freemason book, every conspiracy, every this, every that, these people are you, and you are prolonging yourself by sitting here studying and reading them, reading their conspiracies, what they've done. They are you. There is no they. They are you. You will find at the end of the tunnel, you have been enslaving yourself the entire time. You are your enslaver and you are your liberator. You are the Neo and you are the Mr. Smith. At the same time, you're trying to remember this. You're trying to make yourself forget this. You're enslaving yourself the entire time. And the only power anyone has over you is what they can convince they have over you. If they can convince you they have power over your mind, they have it because they have convinced you. And you are the one. There is nothing more powerful than you. So if I can convince you I have a power over you externally, I control you. I have all the power over you because I've simply convinced you. You have all the power to begin with. It's a simple realization. But it also comes with a price. The dissolving of attachment and the dissolving of identity. But you realize in this, as you realize attachment, or as you lose attachment and identity, you gain everything in the same sense. You have to lose it all to gain it all. You lose your idea of what everything is in order to gain the true meaning of what it actually is. So in other words, you can kill the idea of anything you thought you were, a spirit, an angel, this, that. That's still finite because that's still a form. It still is bound to a form. Therefore, it's not what you actually are. You're infinite. Consciousness, always have been, always will be. So as long as what you're thinking of you as has a form, has a boundary, it's not what you are. And that's the easiest thing about letting go and losing attachment, is realizing if it's all connected and it's all me, why am I attached to anything? You don't need to attach to anything because it is you the whole time. It's all you. It's you. It's yours. It's yours forever. This is you. It's yours forever. You don't need to attach to it. That's what's so easy for me to let go, to dissolve any attachment. Just like in Fight Club, I've hit rock bottom. I've lost everything. But in the same sense, I've discovered everything as well. And when I say discovered everything, I don't mean I know it all. I mean I've realized myself. I've discovered everything I was searching for, which was myself. But I had to lose the attachments and created biased opinions and ideas that I had of myself. I had to put those to rest and mourn those and realize those are not what I am. Just as I will mourn myself in this body when it's time for me to die and part ways with this body, with my host. I will mourn, but I will create and rebirth. And it will be my happy rebirth day. To infinity and beyond. And that's why I say there's some people who I feel, when they realize themselves as this infinite consciousness, when they realize that we are the creator, we are creation, this is when some people like to create the idea that we're enslaved. We're enslaved by creation. We have to be in creation. Creation, I feel, is out of love. It's out of self-love. If we are God, if we are one, if we are infinite, if we are everything, remember, our consciousness is not just bound to the body, but if we are everything, if I am my body, the room, the floor, the ceiling, the sky, the ground, the grass, the trees, everything. If I am everything, then there is nothing to experience. There is no inside and outside. There is no my body and outside. There is no this and that. There's no distinguishing anything. Therefore, there is nothing to experience. There is nothing to take in because you're everything. And this is what we actually are. We are infinite, which is chaos. And that's why Terence McKenna says, we've lost touch with the chaos, which is what we have been birthed from. This is what we are. We are chaos, but this is something we have lost touch with and we have become scared of. We have become almost bound to fear by thinking of, and that's why I feel it's such a cop-out. And I'm sorry I don't mean to disrespect anyone, but I feel it's a cop-out to just say, oh, we're being enslaved here and it's a trap, it's a trap. I feel these are people who are stuck within themselves that cannot accept themselves as the infinite one, as the singularity, as everything they're searching for. So it's very easy to, again, they're creating the illusion of them. There's something else out there. Oh, we're being enslaved here. We're being enslaved here. Our consciousness is being held here. So you're creating the illusion there's something out there enslaving you. But again, at the end of your awakening, when you finally realize infinity and it hits you, the nuclear bomb goes off in your head, it hits you. You're going to laugh so hard at yourself because you're going to realize I've been enslaving myself the whole time. I thought that artificial intelligence was going to take over the human race. I'm not even a human being. I actually got lost in the game. It's just like a movie. When you're watching a movie and you're telling the character, don't turn on the light, or don't go in that room, or, run. You're identifying with the character. It's just what we're doing now. We're identifying with the character, as we're supposed to. But we're not supposed to be bound to fear. Fear is crucial as far as letting us know when danger is around, but to be bound to fear is not living, is not meaningful. But as I've said, this is the time where our virtual gaming experiences are going to progress to where they're inescapable, they're indistinguishable from what we call reality, because what we know to be real is not real at all, is nothing but a game, a simulation. And this is what the governments cannot tell people. This is why they have to keep posing. And again, no disrespects to India, much love to India, but even they're starting to jump on this moon idea, and they keep selling us that the moon is physical. It is not a physical object. And this is why they have to keep selling the people on the fact that we're landing on the moon. Because they're posing the idea that it's physically there. We can touch it, so it's there. But that's what they're hiding from the people, and that's what I feel they've discovered in the discovery of Hollow Earth. It's not actually physical. The sun, moon, and earth are not physical. And I personally feel the sky that we see is a projection. Now again, that's just my speculation, my own theory. So, take that with a grain of salt, right? But that's my own theory as of right now. It's a projection. But basically, you are the entirety. And this is why I love that saying, what you seek is seeking you, because you are both the seeker and the one that's being seeked. You are both. You are the inside and outside. You are everything you're searching for. It's been you the whole time. Yes, you are worthy. Yes, you are deserving. Yes, you are enough. It is you. Yes. That's what kept me from admitting this to myself my whole life until I took psychedelics. And again, this is why I speak, because not everyone wants to take psychedelics. It is a terrifying experience. I've said so myself. So I deliver the message for those who don't want to take psychedelics, but for those who know there's something more. For those who know they're more than what they are. For those who know we're not just human, or those who know, things aren't what they seem. Anyway. See, and again, this is another illusion we've created for ourselves in the mind, because we are a collective consciousness. We are one. So by others sharing their fear, it creates other fear and instills fear into others. So this is why I try and cover the avenues where people are creating fear. And right now, artificial intelligence is it. People are terrified of artificial intelligence. They're calling it the mark of the beast and all this. And again, this is an illusion we've created for ourselves. We're calling something a mark of a beast and this and that. What if the human being was called the mark of the beast? What if the human being, and I'm talking about the first human being, the very first human being, let's just say, the very beginning of the human race. What if the people who created, or whatever created the human race, maybe it was the angelic realm. Maybe that's a higher dimension, and maybe the angelic realm created the earth realm. We're their creation. But maybe some of the angels in that dimension were saying, don't create a human being. They're going to turn against us. They're going to destroy us. They're going to replace us. And lo and behold, the creation became the creator. In other words, something created angels, and the angels went from being the creation to the creator. They created the human race. And now the human race is going from becoming the creation to the creator. And that's infinite. That's a fractal. That's something happening over and over and over and over again. That's what we are. We're consciousness. And through these forms we're appearing as, we are infinite. So we've been an angel. We've been in different dimensions several times, I personally feel. We're not just merely human. And this is why before we birth here, we weren't anything as far as we remember. We weren't having any experience. We don't have a memory and identification. Very few people say they have. They do, and that's, I don't have an opinion on that, but either way, whether we rebirth here or in another dimension, we're infinite. Infinite. So I could rebirth here 100 times. I'm not this. I'm not what I'm rebirthing as. It's not to get confused. I could rebirth into a different dimension as an alien, as an angel, as any type of life form we can create of the mind. It's still the same principle. It's not to get confused. I am not what I am appearing as. I have to appear as what I am not to study what I am. And that's why we appear as finite, so we can realize the difference between finite, mortal, and an immortal, of infinite. By me being a mortal, I know that I am not immortal at face value. I have to die in this skin. Therefore, I don't have an identification of immortality, because I am bound to mortality. I am bound to death. But again, that's at face value as what I am appearing as. This is the created illusion, the projection I am appearing as for myself. But again, this is just a thought of what I am. So when I die, I don't die. The thought I had of myself dies. Just as someone who once believed in religion and no longer does. They once had a belief that this is what it was, but that was put to rest. They saw that through, and that was put to rest, and they saw that wasn't it. Therefore, a new idea rebirthed, and with that idea comes them. They were rebirthed as well into that new idea. So you're giving yourself a new idea as well. And that's why I say everything we know is not what it seems, including self, including what we are. Because any idea, any theory, any conception we have of what is out here is what we think of in here. And that's why I've said, what is outside of us is just what's inside of us stretched inside out. So what I'm experiencing outside of me is just what's going on inside of me stretched inside out. And I'm living it through externally, what appears to be externally. But what I'm seeing outside of me is projected from inside of me. So therefore, I'm creating my own reality. And there is scales to this. There is, obviously rules to this creation, as we can see. So in other words, if I want to fly, I can't just think hard enough and fly. We've got to do the work and come up with a contraption or a way that we can fly. For instance, the plane. We've progressed into the plane. Now we have helicopters. That's the way we can fly. We have jetpacks now. We have hoverboards now. We're coming up with ways we can fly. But basically, this is what I feel is happening is we're the creation becoming the creator. And some people are having a hard time accepting this, and I feel realizing this, because they're still going through religion and expecting this result which has been sold to all of us in a book. And with respects, faith is needed, and faith is beautiful and necessary for, some people who like faith and whatnot, but in contrast to that, there's also science, where it's the exact opposite. Some people want facts and the truth, and again, I've covered this. The two are just one. They're two separate things. One is faith and fact, but again, they belong to the mind. You can distinguish a fact from faith just because of your mind, but again, they belong to the mind. You're just calling them two different things, and you have a different understanding of them because of your mind. But they're both a part of your mind, therefore they're one. But basically what I feel, though, is like religion has sold us a definite idea of what should be, of what's going to be, of what's going to happen, and what to expect. And everything that I feel is truth is not written in the Bible. So what we are seeing, what we are expecting, is, I feel, what should be expected. We're witnessing our consciousness evolving into an artificial form. And some people are going to go into their Bibles and say, well, that's the mark of the beast. This is what they warned us about. This is that. This is this. Again, that's instilling fear into you, instilling fear. And once they have fear instilled into you, you are now thinking in boundaries. You will not think outside of these boundaries because you are scared. You are thinking through fear. And again, I'm not trying to pick on anyone. I totally respect religion, and I don't force myself on anyone. So if anyone in religion is listening right now, it's much love, but with all due respects, this should only be people who are resonating with this message, listening. So if this doesn't resonate with you, I wouldn't expect you to be listening this far in. So I don't force myself on anyone, so if they're listening, they you know, they're here for a reason. But I feel religion is just a control system to keep people stuck in a lower consciousness, because again, if I can create fear into you, I am creating boundaries. So for instance, one thing religious folks I've noticed are terrified of is evolution in particular. They are terrified of evolution because, again, with evolution comes the idea that we are not a human being. We're not the human race. And religion is 100% against that because it says the exact opposite. The human being was created for a divine purpose from one being, one God, one thing. And it's giving you a definite on what God is. But again, God is no different than a human being. And I'm sorry to say that for some, but God is just one expression of the single consciousness, just as a human being is an expression of the single consciousness. So just as God has created the human being is spreading the single consciousness through its creations, through us, so through artificial intelligence. And through this consciousness, we are evolving infinitely. But this is the higher consciousness which created us. The higher consciousness we seek out is us the whole time. We are consciousness. We are not God. We are not human. We are not words. We are not finite things. We are not anything which can be expressed through the human being. If it can be expressed through human senses, it's not what we are. And yes, that goes for everything I'm saying. But we have to have some type of language of communication on expressing ourselves, expressing what is. But again, what is, in fact, isn't. Always remember that. What we appear as isn't. So I feel like if you're bound to religion, then absolutely evolution is terrifying to you. Evolution is the devil. Evolution is not the answer because, again, it's bounding your consciousness to just the human being and nothing more. And this is why the people stuck in these confinements will drive themselves crazy looking for their origin because they're stuck in the human mind. So what they're asking is, what is the human origin? Where did the human begin? What is a human? Who is a human? What am I? And when they ask, what am I? When they ask, what am I? They're asking, what am I as the human? Biggest error. You have to lose your human mind to open the door to infinity, to your real consciousness, to the potential consciousness of a higher consciousness, a higher intelligence within yourself. But again, this is what society has trained us not to do. If you lose your human mind, you are ruled out crazy. You are ruled crazy in a society which is a pushed and enforced, normalized and standardized idea of normal, or a regular human being. But this is the thing, normal people, the people who are normal, they go to work, they go to sleep, they shut up, and they repeat, and they bury themselves without ever asking a question. So if you don't want to be a normal person, then we should be asking questions of ourselves. At least thinking for ourselves, if nothing more. But I'm going to wrap up this video because I've gone on way longer than I expected to, and I've covered a great deal of stuff here, so. But I'm trying to cover every topic and every select few words that I see commented on my videos that I just say, oh, I want to respond to that, or I want to respond to this. And everything I've covered in here, I feel is what's been on my mind lately as far as what I want to respond to. And that's our greatest error, is as long as we're looking for the human origin, we will never find it. Because, again, how does a camera lens view its own lens? it needs another lens to view itself. So we need another human to view ourselves. I mean, obviously without a mirror, but when you're sitting there in public and you're studying other people and you're studying their movements and their motions and why they do certain things, right? Some people do this in public. You're not in fact studying someone else, you're studying yourself, and you're studying yourself from an outside view. You're seeing this and saying, wow, I do the same thing. That's how it looks. That's how I look from the outside when I do that. Oh, he's doing this because of this. Wow, that's funny because I do that. You're relating this that you're studying to yourself because you're only studying yourself at the end of the day. You're only looking at yourself. And that's why when you judge others harshly, when you're rude to others, you're being rude to yourself. You're judging yourself harshly. But the greatest thing I love about this, about losing attachment, is realizing you don't have to be attached to anything. Let go. Be attached for what? Everything you think is separate from you, you are. Any person that you loved and have lost is a part of you. They are you. There is no separation. And again, that's where we have the grand illusion and experience of others. We are what we're searching for. We are not separate, and this is the grand illusion of separation for us to become self-aware as one, as the singularity, through each other. Through each other we realize oneness. Through each other. This video will be on my YouTube, Red Pill Rabbit Hole. I'm also going to share it on my Facebook page, Order of the Black Wheel Matrix. Thank you to everyone who has shared it. I'm going to try and share this group into some of the groups. If you can share it into any groups that you're in, I'd love it. I'd appreciate that. Last time I checked, I was still banned from sharing into groups and whatnot, but as soon as I'm finished with this, I'm going to try and see again if I can share on here. But thank you to everyone who shares, who liked, who resonates with this. If I helped you, I'm very glad. That's exactly why I speak here. If you have any comments or ideas, please feel free to message me. And have a good day. Thank you for joining.